everyone, it's Alexa from Alexa Loves Books, and I am back today to do another book tag. Now, this tag I was tagged by my friend Tiffany from About to Read like a year and a couple of months ago, and I feel so bad that I never got around to doing it, so I'm going to be doing it on my channel today. Tiffany is actually the creator of this tag, and it is the Reader Problems book tag. Reader Problems tag. I'm really excited to do this one because it's a little different from the others, so without further ado, let's get started. Question number 1. You have 20,000 books on your TBR. Not an exaggeration. I feel like it's 20,000 books sometimes, so I feel this deeply. How in the world do you decide what to read next? To be honest, I do try to have like a monthly TBR every single month where I list a couple of books that I feel like I should have read, especially review books. But other than that, I usually just go based on my mood. If I feel like reading something fantasy, I do that. If I feel like reading a romance, I do that. I really just try to pick up something that I am very excited about or interested in or feeling at the time. And if I'm stuck in one genre for like the whole month, that's totally fine with me. So definitely a mood reader. Don't really plan it, even though I try to. Number 2, you're halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. Do you quit or are you committed? Honestly, I don't think I ever get halfway through a book and then decide to quit. I usually quit earlier than that. My DNF thing, or like my version of DNF, I usually try to read at least 50 pages or 5 chapters. If I'm not feeling the book at all, or if I feel like I already know how I'm gonna rate the book based on that amount of pages, I just set it aside and don't look back. I used to have a really hard time not finishing books because I always felt like I needed to, but so many books, so little time. I'd rather read the books that I am really enjoying as opposed to the books that I'm just kind of enjoying or not enjoying at all. Number 3. The end of the year is coming and you're so close but so far away on your Goodreads reading challenge. You tried to catch up, and how? To be honest, I have never had this problem. It's probably because I go through fits where I read a ton of things and I end up reading way past my original goal, which generally happens. Plus, I do count novellas and graphic novels for my Goodreads challenge, so there's that. But if I were falling behind, it would depend. If I were falling behind by less than 20 books, I'd probably try to catch up. If I were falling behind by way more than that, then no way in hell would I try to catch up. Too much work. So yeah, I think I would say that it would depend if ever such a situation happened for me. Number 4. The covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope? I find it really hard to answer this question because aesthetically I prefer it when my covers match. I'm pretty sure most of us do. But, you know, in the end, it's the story that matters to me, and if I love the story enough, it won't matter that the covers don't match. I'll just have to collect them all. They'll just have to be in the same format, because if they change formats, that's when I'm kind of like, I can't. Which has never happened. I don't think that's ever happened. What am I talking about? But all that matters to me is that they're on the same format. I will just go in favor of the story versus the cover in most cases, and if I don't love the story enough, I probably just get the books that I like the best and not all of them, which is one of my things, but never mind, that's a story for another day. Number 5. Everyone and their mother loves a book you really don't like. Who do you bond with over shared feelings? I generally tend to be really honest with the people I'm closest to who love books as much as I do. Whether we have different opinions or not on said book, we're able to really discuss it and get into discussions about it, and the people I usually talk to are Rachel from Hello Chelly and Kelly from Bella the Literati, and we just discuss our feelings about books, and I never feel like I have to not say anything if I don't like a book. I feel like I can be very honest with both of them, and that we'll all just be able to have great conversations about the books in question. Number 6. You're reading a book and you are about to start crying in public. How do you deal? I honestly will just let loose. I am a silent crier when I'm reading. I don't think I've really sobbed with full-on sobbed while I'm reading, where I made a lot of noise. I usually just silently cry, so sometimes when I'm reading a book and I get emotional in the subway, I will literally sit there and tears will be streaming down my cheeks, but I will be very quiet about it so that nobody else notices. At least I don't think anyone else notices. It also helps that I live in New York, so even if I am crying on the subway, no one really cares. Number 7, a sequel of a book you love just came out, but you've forgotten a lot from the prior novel. Will you reread the book, skip the sequel, try to find a synopsis on Goodreads, cry in frustration? Definitely won't do the skipping, and definitely won't cry. I usually go to the recaptions if I don't want to reread, but most of the time I will try to reread the book, especially if it's a fantasy book. Number 8, you do not want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely tell people no when they ask? Not many people I know in real life read books, so I don't really have this problem. The one friend that borrows my books is really good about keeping them pristine and returning them to me in great condition, so I trust her enough to just lend it to her. Other than that, I usually tend to buy the people the book in question because I'd rather they get their own copy and not take mine, especially if it's signed. That's the one time I will never lend the book. Number 9, reading ADD. You've picked up and put down 5 books in the last month. How do you get over your reading slump? I usually do get over reading slumps by going back to my favorite reads, particularly historical romances. For some reason, they just manage to snap me out of a reading slump, and I feel like I'm back in the mood right after I reread an old favorite. I usually turn to Devil in Winter or Ransom for that. Devil in Winter is by Lisa Kleypas, and Ransom is by Julie Garwood. Number 10, there are so many new books coming out that you're dying to read. How many do you actually buy? Before I would have said I would buy all of them. Now I'm really kind of particular about what I buy. Most of the time I buy a book after I have read it as a review copy, since I'm lucky enough to get a lot of them as review copies. But in general, if I'm going to buy books, new books a month, I try to go for 5 max, especially if they're gonna be hardcover releases. And number 11, the very last one, after you bought the new books you can't wait to get to, how long do they sit on your shelf before you get to them? It really depends on the book. If it's like a sequel in a series, I usually read it within that week or the week after, or if I'm rereading after the reread. If it's a standalone, sometimes it will languish on my shelves. I usually pick up contemporaries and fantasies really fast. I really take my time when it comes to historicals. And there you have it, guys. Those are all my answers to the Reader Problems tag by Tiffany from About to Read, and I'm glad I finally got the chance to do it. And if you haven't done this tag yet, I'm sure a lot of people have since it's been around for a while. If you haven't done it yet and you're watching this video, consider yourself tagged. Alright, till next time, you guys. Bye!